Hi, Jan. Good morning. And good
Good
morning to
morning. How are you?
everyone. Hello. So, good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here today. I hope we're all safe, we're all strong and healthy. As introduced, my name is Zodian Familaran. I'm a partner systems engineer from Cisco, and I'm going to talk about resilient enterprise on secure remote work. And also, we'll be covering about how we can prepare and position ourselves for return to office perspective. So, I'm going to cover two topics for today. And before I proceed, I'm sure napansin nyo my background here. So I got bamboos around me today. And why did I choose to do this? It is because, bamboo, right? It is a symbolism of longevity because it's durable, it's strong, it's flexible, and most importantly, it's resilient. And that is very related to our topic for today. We know how bamboos can survive in the harshest conditions. It's still standing tall even though there's strong typhoon, and all year long it's green. So that is, we have in today, if we relate it in today's situation, I know a lot of us here right now, we have a lot of uncertainties, right? We don't know what's coming next, but we really want to prepare ourselves. We wanted to prepare our business for this. And this bamboo is something that we wanted for our business to become, right? So today, I will be talking about resiliency for distributed infrastructure. Of course, about ways in which technology has enabled business continuity, as part of going through this global pandemic. A lot of organizations, even you, I know those our participants who are here, we wanted to prosper in this new normal, and so we must focus on transforming our business into a resilient enterprise, something that can thrive in a distributed workforce, because that is the common setup that we have today. We have distributed workforce and even applications being distributed. So we have that kind of environment right now. So for today's session, I want to share how Cisco has been doing it. Well, one of the things that we started to focus on is the quick speed regarding adoption of various technologies. So the idea was, what used to take a decade, now it took 8 weeks as we enter the global pandemic, because we really need to digitize, we really need to support the sudden need for our employees to work from home. And so what was interesting was the different areas that most of the organizations here had focused on. Of course, you will see at the top of the list, what we've been expecting is, of course, the increase in remote working and collaboration technologies. We also had been expecting for most of our organizations, before we expect them to take about a year and a half to actually roll those out, and nothing like a crisis to drive that change. And then suddenly, with this pandemic, we need to do it in about a week and a half instead. So that's what happened, right? And we also saw changes with the use of advanced technologies in changing these operations, in changing business decision making. So if you can see some of the things that are highlighted here, actually the last one here is kind of disappointment because we see increase in terms of spending that is related on data security. So this is not just about, if you look into the details that have been highlighted here, it's not just about remote access. We also need to cover up those data security at a broader solution and capability. So let me give you a background about this details, these numbers that I'm showing you. Well, here's a research from McKinsey. So they did an interesting study about organizations which had at least 25% growth for over past 3 years. And this research, they wanted to look at how the global pandemic had affected or impacted these organizations. So prior to that, looking at the 3-year view of these organizations, actually they already had invested into digital related technologies. And obviously, this same organizations, the same companies, um, were actually the first within the industries to look on how those technologies could help them as they navigate into this global pandemic. Now, the outcome of this study was very interesting. The organizations that had experimented with how digital technologies could help were actually able to report a twice increase into the revenue growth. So if you think about it, we have been talking about digital transformation even before this pandemic had happened. And if you look into those organizations, our customers who adopted those technologies, they're actually the one who started on that journey, who were already on a better place, right? Who are on a better position and are able to lead up to COVID-19. And that is a good research actually, and that's conducted by McKinsey. Now, here are in related to the business resilient distributed enterprises, how do we address those? Well, there are different elements that I want to show to you right now. And speaking of business resiliency, before we move forward, business resiliency, just like the bamboo again, it's the way how business are able to adapt to any future shocks, and at the same time able to recover quickly, able to respond, able to retool for the new normal that is brought up by the COVID-19. So how do we deliver that? It's broken into 3 segments, into these 3 segments that you see on screen. So one is the secure remote work. And secure remote work, this is typically involves capabilities around secure communication, right? Collaboration. How do we support people working from home or working remotely? So we need to give them secure remote access. And of course, to simplify provisioning, we can't have IT traveling from one place to another. So we can leverage with automation and zero-touch provisioning. So that's what we will cover with the secure remote work today. The second one is, of course, one of the interests here is the return to workplace. And this can be an office, a factory, or a branch, or anything, right? And with return to workplace, this is about how we can ensure that those locations that we're opening up for our employees in the future are safe and compliant. So we have the best connectivity, and we need to consider how we can give that enough capacity for the new work environment. We need to think how we can support the continuous video calls that are coming online. And also we have to ensure that networks are still segmented securely, of course, having common policies running between your workplace and your remote offices. And the third here, which our colleague here, David, will be introducing later on. So we have the multi-cloud environment, and I'm sure he will be sharing about Cisco Intersight. That's how we can ensure that that's not only technology, that's not only hardware that is performing perfectly right, but also to ensure that our applications that are running in the cloud or in anywhere are also performing well. So that's multi-cloud environment. And if you see below, across everything, we have zero trust security, which I'll go deeper later on, together with end-to-end visibility. But mainly what I'm going to cover is, of course, these 2, secure remote work and the return to workplace. So starting with the return to work, just wanted to point out here that Cisco has already had a global telecommuting policy. So employees are allowed to work remotely when they are required. Also, our IT infrastructure is, designed to do that, to support remote working. And to mention also, we already have BYOD that has been in place even before COVID-19 happened. We had an end-to-end security. We've been already using multi-factor authentication, that is through Duo. And also we had transition to Office 365. We authenticate, we use multi-factor authentication Duo to log in to our Office 365 applications. So this data that you see on screen, this was during COVID, right? So we started to move work from home in 10 days, and that is across 96 countries. The VPN capacity had also doubled in 2 weeks, given that all have been working from home already. And of course, our use of collaboration, which is Webex meeting, which you've seen a while ago during the video presentations, right? So it actually grew into 3 times more as people had been working from home during that time, actually until now. So with that, of course, the implication is, of course, having our global IT support to go crazy with a lot of cases to be managed with people that are working from home. But then during this pandemic, during this situation, right, we kept on doing things like supporting our customers. Cisco kept on onboarding as well, able to support new onboards remotely, give them the things that they require, such like access that they need. So all of us have seen this, right? This pandemic had changed everything. We started about thinking secure remote work, and that is pretty much become a mission critical for almost all of the employees, for all of the companies today. So before we had the pandemic, I also want to mention VPN infrastructure was already in place. So we have our laptops connected to VPN. For most of the employees, we have the flexible work. We have multi-cloud, but we never had tried 100% working from home before. That's actually our plan B. But when the COVID hit us, it became our plan A, having that all employees working from home already. So to elaborate more on the secure remote work, which is the first piece, right? Because everyone was put into a various lockdown, all of us went through lockdowns. It's not just all about giving remote access or having remote access, right? It is also about how we perform our job functions when we are no longer in the office, which before, when we're in the office, we normally collaborate physically with people in our day-to-day basis. We're able to meet physically with customers, with partners. So as expected, there's going to be a focus on that area, remote work that is tied with collaboration. So again, since we cannot go to the office, we cannot meet at meeting rooms, that is where solutions like Webex meetings come in. That gives us the ability to do high-definition video collaboration. So that gives capability for both people within our organization, even partners and customers externally, able to communicate via video collaboration. And the good thing is it also supports across range of devices, from video endpoints that you've seen a while ago, to room series, to your mobile devices and laptops. So that allowed us to maintain that connectivity, especially when all of a sudden, right, all of us have been working from home. Now, there is another element, and because it is not just about meetings, right? We don't spend all our days in meetings. We have various job functions to perform, and normally, when I'm in the office, we have the ability to talk to the person in the next cubicle or maybe down the hall. So I can simply bring up a conversation to people around there, to customers that are there physically. Now, Webex has another flavor, which is Webex Themes. And that actually played us creating that virtual office space. And what Webex Teams allows us to is to enable people still maintain that contact and have those discussions needed to have. Well, actually, one of the most exciting things that we have with Webex Teams is the capability to do whiteboarding. Before we do a lot of whiteboarding, we come inside a meeting room, grab a whiteboard marker and do some kind of brainstorming. But since we're not in the physical office right now, we're still able to practice that brainstorming, but through Webex Teams and, specifically this capability to do whiteboarding on my screen, on my laptop. I can do whiteboarding even in my mobile device. So other people in my meeting can also look into what I've been sharing, what I've been brainstorming with them. So that's good thing also with Webex Teams. And also, Webex Themes have the capability to, integrate with various business applications as well, especially those applications that we're using in day-to-day basis, applications that are part of our job functions, like for example, Office 365, Microsoft Outlook, Salesforce, Box. So we've been using that. We're able to integrate that directly into Webex Teams, and that will allow us, of course, to maintain our normal workflow, and again, keep that collaboration in action while using our tools that we normally use inside our offices. So we're still able to leverage them in our secure remote workspace. Of course, secure remote access becomes a key part to this as well. For customers who are already made a transition to cloud, of course, it would be easy for them. It's quite easy for them to simply access or give access to the employees to those applications running from the cloud. But again, there is an important implication here, and that is again looking on the security side. For example, is before when I'm in the office, right, I have the benefit of all the security infrastructure that has been placed within that office environment, right? So now that I'm working from home, that doesn't exist already in my infrastructure at home. And so it is also important for organizations to start looking at how we could improve security for our employees, now that they're moving out from the office. And, this is perfect because I want to bring up now Cisco Duo, security solutions like Umbrella, and also for endpoints. So we're looking at solutions like Duo, that, as I have mentioned a while ago, that provides us the multi-factor authentication. So that is a quick and easy way for us, for these cloud-based applications to lock down access, to ensure that it was only the employees which are now out of the office are still getting secure access to those applications, into those data that we have, that we need for our job functions. And what I'm going to do to give you a view how Duo works, well, I'm going to share a browser right now. Hold on. Okay, so I have a sample here. So right now, when we are accessing our email, aside from logging in with username and password, we also authenticate with Duo. So Duo, again, that gives us the multi-factor authentication. And here's an example workflow that we've been doing every day. So when we log into our Outlook, right, we choose to sign in. With Duo integration to that, with Duo integration, right? You're asking about authentication. So this one is offering us multi-factor authentication, right? So for users, it's just one tap. It's a one-tap approval, two-factor authentication that gives you the visibility into what devices they're using. So if you're the IT and your employee is using Duo, you'll be able to see also what device they're using, if that device is managed or unmanaged, before you're able to give them access and comply with those applications. So we've got many options actually of multi-factor authentication, from a really simple push notification. So Duo had actually pioneered the push notification. We can also have phone to tokens via phone calls, via text or wearables, things like those. But now let me try to, prove that I am really the one who is using that username and password. And what I'm usually using is to send me a push notification. So of course, in my mobile device that I've registered with Duo, I'm going to receive the request. Now, what I'm just going to do is to either approve that request or deny that request. So if I initiated the access for Microsoft Outlook or from the Outlook, I would be able to approve that because I'm the requester. But the good thing about Duo is that you can also identify if someone else is using your username and password, and you can just simply deny that one. And, IT team will receive that and able to investigate what's happening while you've been denying also those access requests. So when I choose to approve that, and that will give you the access to the application that you wanted to plug into. So that's how fast it is. Well, one of our customers here had brought up Duo can also be, integrated with any Connect VPN, and that's one way also to prove our accessing an any Connect VPN. So, we authentic when we prove our access also via Duo. With on any Connect VPN. How fast? I'm not really specific how fast it is, but let me check it later. By the way, before we move forward, we have a free trial just in case you wanted to try Duo for yourself. We have a free trial, and you can just feel free to visit the link that I will be putting in our chat box here. So sign up for Cisco Duo trial. You can actually use this one personally, and maybe wanted to use it with Facebook login or any other social media. And yeah, so feel free to register to our free to Duo trial. Okay, going back to my slide, so that's Duo. The other one here is, of course, Umbrella. Umbrella here is our first line of defense because it works on a DNS layer. It basically prevents connections to malicious destinations, such as command and control callbacks. So it really works on DNS and IP layers to block all of those malicious destinations. Umbrella basically will help block, of course, those threats that are compromising your data. Basically, if you're looking for a secure internet gateway, Umbrella will give you the visibility into your internet, specifically on the web traffic, whether your users are on or off the network. Umbrella can still protect them, able to block ports or protocols, that are, going through those malicious destinations. So we usually call it the first line of defense. So if you're looking for a solution to block, let's for example, employees visiting websites that are associated to phishing or to cryptocurrency or ransomware, crypto mining, or websites that are, have ransomware or malware inside. So Umbrella will able to identify that and block it for you. So we usually call it, again, our first line of defense because all of us are accessing the internet, right? Even though we're working from home or even though we're outside our VPN, we're still accessing internet and we need protection from that kind of activity. So that's how first line of defense Umbrella works for us. But again, how about the small percentage for more advanced threats like, specific malwares that are able to sneak through, right? So there's still things that are able to sneak through, and that's why we need some kind of layered approach, not only having one layer, right? So we have AMP here. Very simply, AMP for endpoints is our next generation endpoint security solution. So that will also give us visibility, context, and at the same time control. So I will be elaborating what that means. It's basically a software as a service, cloud managed as well. So if you've got AMP for endpoints, you've got that management dashboard for you to look into those events happening in those endpoints. How do we deploy it? It's basically deployed by a lightweight connector to protect endpoints that are running in Windows, Mac, Linux, and even mobile devices like Android and iOS. So that visibility, context, and control that I have been mentioning, it has the capability to do three things: to prevent, to detect, and to respond. When I say prevent, it can prevent or block malware in real time, even at the point of entry. So if you're aware of Talos is actually strengthening our defense for those signatures. They're consolidating those signatures, there's fingerprinting, and even other detection engines. So Talos is updating that in our cloud database, and that is where we reference if of something like malicious files are being executed or coming inside our endpoint. So that's AMP for endpoints. The second thing that it does is it can detect. So as what I've mentioned, we cannot always block 100% kind of attack. So AMP can get inside your endpoint. It can continuously monitor and record those files. It can analyze those file activities. Not only those files, but even processes and communications that are happening from your endpoint. And from that, it will also identify if something like stealthing malware or something like malicious behavior is is getting in. So we're able to look into those kind of events, especially for our security teams here. You can monitor it via the browser-based management dashboard. And for the response mechanism, if you're looking for, let's say, an endpoint protection platform or a endpoint detection and response, AMP is the same of, AMP is both of that, an EPP and an EDR. So in terms of response capabilities, it can contain, and at the same time, it can eliminate those threats before it even damage those device operating system. So it can do remediation just in case malware came across PCs. It can also update or correlate with other network IPS that you have, the firewall, web proxies, and even email gateway, so that just in case we're planning to, if AMP had identified one of those endpoints, we're able to eliminate them, contain them, avoid traffic going in and outside that endpoint as well. So, well, we also have free trials for AMP, and if just in case you're interested to try out, feel free to access the link that we have below. I think I have the link here. Give me a minute, and that will bring you to a website where you can try our AMP for endpoints as well. So feel free to leverage our free trial. That would be helpful as well. All right. And, there is also a need for AnyConnect. So I've done talking about how we secure our endpoints with Duo, with AMP, and with Umbrella. Now, of course, AnyConnect VPN is also important in order for us to provide access in private cloud or, data centers that people could continue to do their job functions, right? So AnyConnect VPN, that works for remote access. In case you will be working from home for weeks or for a few months, that would be a good solution. But let's say you start to look at, potential permanence of working from home environment, then that means you start recognizing that those people who are working from home, that home office that they're working on is actually the new office. So that's why we call it micro branch. And so VPN type of solutions is something that is common to most of our customers. But I'm thinking a little bit more about, because we have a lot of jobs to do, and that we need to require more complete and more permanent type of solution. So there are a couple of ways for us to deliver this to our customers. One is, of course, through our wireless capabilities. So the idea of this is, rather than putting VPN access to individual employees' devices, we simply allow to connect them, or we simply allow them to connect into the office environment, something like how they've been doing when they were in the office. So what we do, we are extending the enterprise wireless network into their home, and then, we're giving the capability for employees to connect exactly like what they've been doing before when they were in the office. Of course, our customers are actually taking advantage of this. We have different approach. Some of our customers have different approach in terms of moving to this new platform. Well, and to give you an idea, we've been talking with some customers already who are planning to refresh wireless into Wi-Fi 6. So they proceeded with the Wi-Fi 6 refresh, and they also took out those Wave 2 and Wave 1 access points and made those access points available to those employees that they have at home. So these access points, of course, we're still able to create secure tunnel to a controller, still providing the same experience. Even though employees are working from home, they still connect to the same SSID and have those traffic tunnel back to our corporate office as well, right? So that's the micro branch. And another thing that I also wanted to highlight here is we're looking at how security is, provided. If you've heard about ICE, it also plays important role for our remote work solution. So it doesn't really matter if they're connecting via VPN or via wireless solution or routing solution, ICE is here to perform, same policies that could be applied across all of our users. Either they're working in a office space, either they're working from home. We have the same policies that can be enforced for all of those employees, connecting in a different ways as well. And so I mentioned about zero trust for zero trust for enterprise, and this is how we've been positioning security for our businesses. We usually protect 3 points here. We first protect our workforce, where our users connecting to different devices are being protected. So we may want to allow users to, or allow or disallow users accessing specific devices and accessing specific applications, right? And we also need to secure workloads, and this refers to those data traveling from our users to our data center. We may need to block or allow also some kind of access request coming from those different endpoints to our servers, to our databases. So we need to have visibility on that as well. And lastly, we need to secure our workplace, and this is where things like networking must be protected. How do we protect our network traffic going through our switches and routers? How do we protect our IoT devices? So it's basically an end-to-end solution, not only that having visibility, but also having that control across all of our devices going to our applications running from the cloud or running from our data centers as well. So what we've been doing here at Cisco, we have this Cisco Trusted Device Standard. And usually, this is what we need to enforce in our endpoints for us to be able to access our applications that are running in our in our private data centers or from the cloud. So we've been following this one, and we're able to enforce that kind of policies across ICE. If we're able to apply all of this, complied with this kind of standards, then we'll be able to, just like what you see here in the right, we will be able to ride on the boat, able to access our applications as well. Okay, so this is just giving you a complete architecture which is what you see in the left. You can see users coming to different areas, right, from home. If you're using a hardware VPN or like you're using a Meraki endpoint that has a VPN capability, you can also connect via any Connect VPN if you're just simply connecting your endpoint. And sometimes you don't need any connect in some cases because all of your applications or tools are actually available in the public cloud. So you need to take care of deciding whether you need VPN or not. And so you can also see security into these devices. You can see Meraki MDM, which is our mobile device management, advanced malware protection, and of course, Duo and AnyConnect, plus Umbrella, our first line of defense. And of course, in the right, you can also see several type of clouds, different kind of applications that are hosted in the internet. So we still apply the same policies to our users and devices that are accessing all of this things on the right, and able to have consistent policies to run across as well. So that's for the secure remote work. And I think all of you are. So actually, Mel, give me another 10 minutes for this. So return to workplace is something that I also want to highlight because, most of us now are planning, it might be in a phase 2 or phase 3. So we're planning to moving back to our offices already. And given the things that I have highlighted a while ago, the future of work is actually hybrid, right? Right now, here at Cisco, we are 30%, 50% remote working, setup. So we have few employees that are going to the office, and most of the employees are still working from home. And that is something what we've been expecting also in the future, because some of the companies planning to do, permanent work from home, or maybe some of them are having only 50% going to the office. So we need to consider also preparing our future workplace for the new employees that are coming back. and still maintaining security for both locations in your physical office and to your remote work. We still need to maintain our infrastructure for that one. Together with, of course, maintaining the collaboration, having people in an office, having people in a remote location to attend video calls, things like those. So here are some focus areas, right, for return to workplace. And the first thing that we may need to look into is the network readiness. How do we support our employees in the office at the same time able to support our employees remotely, given that most of our IT, in some cases, our IT people need to work from home, probably need to do some kind of quarantine, so they cannot be physically in the office at all times, right? And the second one is collaboration experience. How do we maintain that same experience to our office in the physical workspaces? And, giving the same experience also to all of our employees that are working remotely. And you've seen the video representations a while ago, how we can do contact interaction, how we can receive alerts from our collaboration endpoints, and how do we leverage those visibility as well from the dashboard, which is the control hub. And lastly, we need to look into how we can improve our spaces. How do we comply with social distancing? How do we identify if people have been interacting together and, we need to make some kind of decisions if we need to shut down the whole location or maybe shut down this specific area. So intelligent spaces, that's what our customers are looking into as well for today, how we can identify specific points in our workspace. So SD1 is, of course, this is what we've been doing for a long time already. One thing that plays important role with our SD1 is able to support, video conferencing. And just to mention about Webex, we're not just, delivering one stream together in a meeting. What you see right now is every one of us are turning our videos. We're delivering separate streams of videos to your endpoints. So we're not consolidating that one into one endpoint. And so where SD1 plays that role is actually giving that capability to address the need for increasing demand for video collaboration. How do we prioritize people who are meeting virtually, and collaborating virtually? And of course, hardware still matters. Our switches, our access points, and routers. So our hardware, we have this things like flexible net flow that gives us end-to-end visibility across all of the traffics that are going through our network. And visibility is very important. From that, we're able to identify also malicious behaviors that are coming up to our traffics via our full flexible net flow. Perpetual PoE is very important as well. And if we're looking for things like switches, so these are the standards that we've been looking for a long time already, and it should be always there. Now, perpetual PoE is, a higher level PoE capability, and this is also critical for our business. Let's say for me, I'm an IT. I'm doing a patch for that switch, or maybe I'm doing a software upgrade. I don't want my employees to go offline just because I'm doing something on the connectivity side. I don't want our lightings to to go offline as well because I'm doing things and something on my switch. So perpetual PoE allows us to continuously continue with that operation while doing patching, while doing upgrades, software upgrades with the switch. So our connections are still, our employees are still continues to connect. They still continue to do their job functions with this feature, the perpetual PoE. And for video endpoints, this is what we've been doing. You've seen in the videos a while ago via Webex, we have the capability to receive alerts. I'm able to do people counting. If people, people inside that meeting rooms are, exceeding to 5, then we'll be receiving alerts as well. Contactless collaboration. So that gives us audio capable, let's say, voice and app control capability with Webex. We can just simply say, okay, Webex, join my meeting. and our video endpoints would able to understand those things as well for you to join the meetings. So here are some examples of the people counting functionality with our Webex Room series. Here's another example for the Cisco Touch 10 series. So that reminds us to clean the room after using the meeting room. And here's how we do intelligent reservation. So it's also, voice controlled. And things like app control, so we can navigate to a space. We can receive notifications from our mobile devices as well. And lastly, before I hand it over to our next speaker, I want to also mention about Trusted Workplace, the DNA Spaces. And this solution is what we've been using for tracking people inside our workspace, not only people, but also devices, IoTs, where they are located. And to be more relevant right now, they're actually using DNA Spaces for social distancing. So it's actually delivered from the cloud, right? You have the DNA Spaces connector to your ROS or access points or to your Catalyst access points, and have those data that are being collected from your access points consolidated in the cloud via DNA Spaces. And that gives you a lot of reports about how many people are visiting, how many people do a lot of repeat visits, in what locations, what's the threshold, and able to also receive alerts based on the behaviors of the people in the office. So you can actually use this one, extend this one through API and build your own social distancing application. But, we have an existing applications already that can do that. And if you're interested to explore more about DNA Spaces, I will be sharing link to everyone later on for you to look into how DNA Spaces would help our future workplace as well. So I guess that's the end for my presentation. So I hope you're able to learn how we can prepare for our return to workplace setup together with still continuing with remote workplace solution. All right? So please continue to ask questions. I will be in the chat room to wait for your questions, and I'll be addressing that as well.
Our topic today is working from home, remote office, right? So one of our solutions in data center is in the site, so we can access from the internet to move data center in the world by one single dashboard. So that is an important part for all of the system and data center engineer to manage their own data center without VPN access to the data center part. So please help me to move to the next slide. I believe everyone already heard about our EN solution, Meraki. So Meraki is 100% cloud-based centralized management. And when Sicko acquired Meraki 7 years ago, we have an idea to bring that technology for other architecture, and data center is the first one. Invest a lot on cloud-based centralized management, and now we have Intersight. So from this slide, you can see because of cloud-based, so we can access to the data center regardless of location from anywhere in the world. And there are some of the features already integrated in Intersight. At the moment, for Intersight, we can manage all of the server like Sicko UCS, Hyperflex cluster, Fabric interconnect, and in the near future, we can manage all of the Nexus switches. So from one single of the dashboard, we can manage all of the data center facility like server, switches, environment. And so far, we also can have some of the integrated feature like connected tag. As you can see, for all of the customer, when they have some of the issue with the hardware, like faulty hardware, they need to open the tag case by themselves or go through their partner. And the process maybe take a few days. And they also, after they log the case with tech team, they also need to give all of the log file information. And from that, tech team can analyze and see where the problem come from. But for the InterSight, we can have customers to open the key right from the dashboard, and the whole process is to take about 30 minutes for the tech team to get all of the log file from Cisco InterSight dashboard. And we have other feature like proactive guidance. So all of the hardware like UCS server, HyperFlex have the hardware component, and they can recommend driver for every different hardware component like RAM or network interface card when they need to upgrade update the driver. So for other things like workloads optimization in the data center, the most difficult part is manage the application. So for the application running on the virtual machine, sometimes we need to expand the capacity. Sometimes we need to add on more CPU or RAM. But how to do it and when we need it, actually it's a bit hard for the system and administrator to look at it. So we have another tool, so-called is a Cisco Workload Optimization Manager, will be integrated into the InterSight. So from that, they can see the whole supply chain for the application, from the data center perspective, from the networking perspective, from the virtual machine perspective, and for the host perspective. So they also have some of the recommendation when we need to expand the capacity, when we need to upgrade or add on more memory to the virtual machine, something like that. Yep. So that part is something we so-called is integration from other feature to the InterSight. And for management perspective, for the InterSight, we can see other information like for the storage, when we need to expand the storage for the data center. So for the HyperFlex cluster, we have another feature which so-called capacity runway. Can you move to the next slide? Yeah. One more. Yeah. So here for the HyperFlex capacity planning, we can see the trending of the consumption. So we can set a threshold like for the storage, if they reach a threshold like 76%, so it's a time for us to expand or upgrade the storage system. So based on the trending, we can see like 6 months, 1 year, we need to upgrade the storage. So if the system administrator don't need to go to the storage and check every month, every week. So from the single the dashboard, we can have a full visibility on how we manage the system. Yeah. So I think it's better to go straight to the dashboard and see how the InterSight dashboards look like. So Melissa, can you have to open the link I sent to you? Yep, getting started with Cisco InterSight version 1. You can click on view. So for our deep cloud, for this one, everyone can access to our deep cloud with a CCOID, and we can try by ourselves. For intersight.com, for any customer they want to use it, actually we have a free trial license. So here is a InterSight dashboard. On the left side, you can see monitor, operate, configure. So it means for the InterSight, we can do a management based on the operation, and we also can do a configuration. The main part, we can see the dashboard with many information, like from a server health summary, we can see at the moment we have 48 server in healthy, 2 in critical, and 11 warning. Below part, we can see Fabric Interconnect help summary. We have 12 Fabric Interconnect in our data center. And on the right side, we have a server inventory divided by a color, like 61 in total. The purple one is HyperFlex HX, we have 36 Hyperflex, and UCS server we have 19 with the green color. So on the left side, please hover the mouse to the Hyperflex cluster under Operate. In the menu, you go to Operate. You can go to the server first. Yeah, go to the server first. Or Hyperflex. Yeah, just leave it at the Hyperflex. It's okay. So Hyperflex, we can see how to see the capacity runway I just showed just now. Click on any link from like SNZ HX cluster. Yes, any link. Yeah, let's click on it. Yeah. So on top we have a capacity runway with a yellow color preview. We can click on it. And from here we can see the trending of the consumption. For the detail, we can see the storage capacity for this storage is 8 terabyte, and at the moment it's consumed 40%. And based on this trending, we have a threshold 76%. And based on this trending, it means we have about 1 year left to reach the threshold. So for the system administrator, they can see, okay, for this storage, next year I need to expand the storage. Yep. So this is one of the very good tools. Can you have to click on the server part on the left side? For the server part, we have more information, more interesting. Yeah. And okay, please help me to click on any link, same like the way we click on the Hyperflex. Yeah. For the server, we have a 3D view. In the middle part, you can see the server HX220C with the front view. For Sicko, green is good, it means running. So we can hover the mouse to the green icon and see all of the hard disk information. And when we click to the rear view, we can see the power supply and all of the management port information as well. Yep, so we can see the power supply. And for the top view, we can see all of the component inside like CPU, memory slot, and the fan module. So from that, we can see how many available slot for memory if we want to upgrade the memory for the server. So on the left side, we have all of the detail like management IP, serial number, and the key important is the contract status. So when when our customer purchase our product, usually we come with a SmartNet contract for the warranty, and the SmartNet contract we have a time limited. So if you buy 1 year contract, so when it's started, when it's ended, we can see very easily from here. So just have to move to hover the mouse to the active beside the contract status. Yeah, so we can see the start date and end date for SmartNet and the service level. Like here we can see it's a SmartNet total care for 8/5 by next business day. And below is a link to launch a CCWR portal for more information. Yeah, so no need to open. Just go back to the inside. And on top, we can see besides the general part, the general tab is the inventory and the HCL. So for inventory, we can see all of the information for the hardware component inside, like CPU, memory, network interface card. And we have to open the HCL, on top. Yeah. So HCL stands for hardware compatibility list. We can see all of the hardware component need to upgrade the driver. So please have to click on the get recommended driver on the left. Yep. So when we click on get recommended driver, so we can see for all of the server component is based on the OS vendor. So our Intersight support all of the famous OS vendor please have to click down on the drop down button beside the OS vendor VMware current. We can see now on the on about VMware current. We can see the drop down button on the right side. So here we support all of the OS vendor from CentOS, from Citrix, Microsoft, Oracle, Red Hat, Ubuntu, VMware. And let's say for the VMware current on the right side, you can see the OS version. We support all of the version we need, from the oldest version like 5.5 something to 7.0. And right below the recommended driver is the link to download the driver ISO. So for administrators, they don't need to find the suitable driver for hardware component. So please have to close it one. On the right side has the blue button with the action. We can see the drop down button on the blue icon on right top corner. The right top corner we have the action with the drop down button. So here we can see we have two actions. One is the open package and one is launch UCS manager. So for all of the UCS server, we can launch UCS manager to manage like you access to the local data center. So that is some of the facility we have for the Intersite. So in the future, we can do same thing, not only for the UCS or HyperFlex, but for Nexus switches. So instead of go to the UCS manager by yourself when you need the VPN connect from your home to the data center, or you need to open the HyperFlex headset connect to manage all of the HyperFlex cluster, you also need VPN connect to your data center. So now for Intersite, we can open easily and no need VPN. It means better performance and speed. So I don't want to go into the detail, but just want to introduce more for the licensing. So please have to hover the mouse to the gear setting icon on the right top corner. On the right side, have a gear, yes, with the licensing. Just click on it. For the Intersite, if you interested in the site, so we have a different level of the licensing from base to essential, advantage, in Premier. So for the base license, actually it's for free for everyone want to try the Intersite. So we call it the trial license. And we have a help center. You can see the green, the blue link. Just get more help on the Cisco Intersite. So we have a help center for all of the question and answer for the Intersite. So if you interested in, just go there and see. We have very detailed step by step on how the Intersite can help, how to request the free trial license, something like that. So that's all I have today for the Intersite, and hopefully you can see from the management and configuration perspective, we can very easy to manage all of the data center in all over the world, regardless of the location. And no need VPN with all of the secure tunnel established based on the HTTPS protocol. So the customers, they don't have any concern about the security and the speed and VPN issue when they go for traveling and working from home. So that's all for my session for today. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
So thank you, David.